What's up, Virgo? Okay, my friends, we are going to talk a little bit about your personal creative style. So, there are aspects to the way you think and the way you move when you are creating something that we can amplify and capitalize on. And there are some things that might prove distractions or a challenge that we can possibly help mitigate together. Okay, so I'm one of you, and I'm very familiar with our creative process. And one of the things I always like to remind Virgos is that the planet Earth is actually located, our address, our cosmic address is in the Virgo supercluster. So we are pretty much at home. We can make ourselves at home anywhere we want to go in the world. We'll make it work, okay? And I love that for us. So and part of that has to do with our composite, right? So Virgo is a mutable sign, practical earth sign. We are governed by Mercury, the Roman god of communication, just like Gemini. And we come into this world with sort of the practical, pragmatic disposition of a nurse practitioner. I often say that Virgos are the nurse practitioners of the zodiac. We were the chat GPT of the zodiac before chat GPT because we always know a guy. Well, we're always ready to listen and help somebody. We'll always look something up. We'll help people navigate their issues and answer their questions, usually thanklessly and tirelessly, but that's just sort of, we govern the sixth house in the zodiac of acts of service, routine, self-discipline, and organization. So we don't just like to be needed, we kind of need to be needed. We want to be needed because it makes us feel useful. So we're constantly tinkering with our strategy and trying to get our measurements right. We're an incredibly adaptable shapeshifter type of sign, and we can clock people immediately in terms of pattern recognition. So buyer beware, right? Now, creatively, Virgos tend to have, it's a very empathic, empathetic, and intuitive sign. That said, Virgos are sort of like mentally, we're like squirrels, right? We tend to have a lot of irons and a lot of fires mentally and what we do for a living. We love rolling up our sleeves. We love scrubbing in, getting down and dirty with the process because that's where the most growth is. Once we get our style down, because we're a mutable sign, we love the process, right? The pick, and we keep fiddling with and tweaking arrangement, word choice, chronology, and that tendency means that sometimes we lose sight of the bigger vision or the bigger product, and we kind of forget like we have to come to a stopping point at some point because we can always see room for improvement. So because we have such a high adaptive quotient and we can change gears really quickly if something isn't working for us, it can be hard for other people to catch up. And sometimes you have to let the cosmos catch up too. Sometimes we could be ready for something and it feels like everybody else is standing still when actually they're just moving at a normal rate. And for us, our normal, especially if you have air in your chart or something or fire in your chart, where mutability is amplified by another element that has impulse control issues, we can kind of get in our own way and risk overworking something because we don't know how to just let it simmer, and just let it chill. So we have to have a lot of busy work for ourselves so we can just like forget and we just have a lot of things to noodle around, a lot of irons and a lot of fires, like I said, so we don't make the mistake of, a more seasoned Virgo understands this. So you don't make the mistake of overworking something to the point where it's no longer usable or salvageable, right? So overthinking something and just not being able to let it go, that's one of our biggest setbacks. Because the thing is what people don't realize about us is they think that we're hard on them, and when we're really just for us, we're asking basically the bare minimum, right? And you came to me for help, right? Like I'm telling you, I'm giving you your prescription here. Like I'm telling you what you need to do to get the glow up, just like bare minimum, just like show up for yourself, right? People don't understand that Virgos are only ever in competition with ourselves or people who are at the apex of achievement in the public domain. So it's like y'all competing against one another. I'm trying to chart like Michael Jackson, or somebody who is innovative like Rod Serling, or somebody who did something, Gene Roddenberry, right? Like I'm only in competition with like dead people, William Shakespeare, Marcel Proust. So that's why we set the bar so high, because we're looking at the entire trajectory of somebody else's, what they, their achievements, and what they're lettered for, and what they've been awarded for over the course of their life. And we work towards that. It's like, I want to be that guy over there, or that woman over there. I want to chart like that. So we're not thinking in terms of being competitive with our neighbors or family members or friends or partners. We're typically in competition with ourselves first and foremost. Can I surpass what I did last time? Otherwise we get bored, you know. So to that end, we can lose sight of actually how much progress we're making. And part of that is because we like working in solitary confinement in the beginning stages. But we really need to have somebody we can be accountable to at some point to make sure that we stay on deadline in terms of a deliverable product. Otherwise, we'll just keep tinkering. Virgo's only frustration in life, really, as a storyteller or world builder, is that we have to slow down, because we have to bring people up to speed on the latest techniques, or they're just moving too slowly in terms of communication and correspondence. So it's really good, I think, for Virgos to capitalize on, if you get nothing else, if you have nothing else, you take nothing else away from this conversation, this little pep talk, Virgo. It's really important that you have multiple projects going on at the same time, different areas, different genres, especially if you're collaborating with someone and you have to kind of like wait, or there needs to be a separate dimension to what it is that you're working on. So for right now, for example, give you a prime example of something that I'm doing. I wrote Story World. Story World has been out for 6 months at the time that I'm recording this. It's March 2026. And it's the end of March 27th, 2026. So Story World has already been out in the public. It's just been out there for the last 6 months. And I'm working on getting it into the right hands for people who could actually use it. And that takes as long as it takes. In the school system, there are things you have to wait on because of bureaucracy, even in higher education, and getting the work past the barrier. Like, you have to meet the needs of an organization or the criteria for a school or whatever program that you're pitching to. You kind of have to wait on the communication and correspondence, and people can't just put down what they're in the middle of to take a look at what I'm doing. They have to, it's got to be sort of fed into rotation, right? And then there are dialogues that have to happen. So that can take months for people to, I mean, going back and forth, Zoom meetings and emails and phone calls, just to get one book in the hands of a teenage world builder. 6 months, that was for a book that was published 6 months ago, because I'm indie. This is indie, so I don't have the machine of a press behind me, and I want to make sure that that Story World gets into the right hands, not just any hands. I want it to go to the hands of people who are going to actually work with it, right? Writing centers, whatever. So being very specific about my target audience right now means I gotta wait, I gotta chill. So there are aspects or dimensions to what I have to showcase people that aren't just on a website. Like, oh, the places you can go. Here's what all else that we can look at with Story World. It's interdimensional. So I'm coming up with card readings and these little zodiac sign. This is the busy work I'm talking about. Do a zodiac sign, plugs, and here's your creative style, guys. I'm also building a world from scratch that should keep me busy for about a month, called Mall World, and it's based off of the conspiracy theory of Mall World, of which I happen to be a participant. I was in the GATE program when I was a kid, and so this sort of common mall world dream that so many people have. Oh, I went way deep diving down that rabbit hole of conspiracy theories. It's been great. So just doing research on shared experiences of the mall world, so I can write this novel and upload it to AO3. That's another form of busy work that'll keep me busy. It's still adjacent to Story World. It's still attached to Story World, but I'm not in competition with anybody. I'm pretty much just like, I'm chilling. I'm keeping the motor going, or the engine going, while I'm waiting for everybody else to catch up. And so by the time everybody else shows up, it'll be even more beautiful and more well-rounded, and even more people can benefit from it. And that's just with one project. That doesn't count everything else I have going on in my own actual work. This is just for Story World, since I'm hanging out in story world right now. Let me see how far I can push it. I don't have to hold back, right? Let me see how far I can push this textbook. So there's something for everybody. So the story world oracle card that you guys got is investment, a surge of resources, wealth, land, or opportunity ushers in lasting abundance. This would be a really good time to maybe pump the brakes on something that you've been working on for a while and maybe it just feels like you hit a plateau or you're not making any progress. This would be a good time to start interviewing another project, to put another iron in a fire where you can kind of mess with that instead and get juiced up and jazzed up by that instead, so you're not running the risk of overworking what you're currently working on. It's okay to find something that's adjacent and you're not being disloyal to your project. You're just making it so that it has time to cook. And when you come back, you're coming back with fresh eyes and you're not expecting everybody to put down what they're doing so they can pay attention to that awesome project that you have going on right now when maybe it's not time yet. It's not done in the oven yet, okay? All right, Virgo, I hope you'll find this useful and I'll speak to you soon. Peace.